Now, in a very strange and mysterious way, how a situation develops is connected to the state of consciousness with which you meet the situation. You're faced with a situation. Are you facing it in presence, not the reactive person, which means you can sense this deeper presence that is within you as you look at this situation. And you are there not just as a person, but you're there, more importantly, as the light of consciousness. And the light of consciousness is the awareness that looks at the situation. And then if action is necessary, you will know right action will happen. It will rise out of this aware presence. It might use your mind. Sometimes action involves saying something, but the saying will not be egoically reactive. It arises from that deeper level, and you will say the right thing that is helpful in that situation. You will not say something that it will inflame the situation, create more suffering for yourself and others, and therefore produce, in Eastern terms, you would say, produce more karma. You produce more and more karma. And so how a situation evolves in how your reality evolves, and even what happens in a difficult situation is connected to the state of consciousness with which you meet that situation. A very unconscious state will amplify the tribulation, the trouble, the problem, create more chaos, create more suffering for yourself and others, and will be completely devoid of wisdom. Why? Because you are possessed by energy formations. Sometimes they are collective thought forms that have taken possession of you. And in this, you're easy, especially these days when people are online a lot on the internet, it's very easy to become very quickly contaminated with not the physical virus, but a mental virus that you take in. And suddenly a certain collective thought form is taking possession of your mind. And there it is. And you don't know it. You identify with it. It becomes part of your ego. And you think that's you. And then you start fighting. And you think it's a good cause. But you're beginning to fight, and you get very angry and very upset, and it's awful. And you don't know that the enemy lives between your two ears, ultimately, not out there. And you don't know that. There's not enough awareness, not enough light of consciousness to be aware of that. That is the greatest challenge for us humans now. The greatest challenge is not external. The external is actually helpful because it's there as an awakener. It awakens you. It's here. Every challenge is meant to, we come back to what we talked about earlier. You're not here to be comfortable. When you are, it's fine. But it's the ultimate aim of your life is not to have a wonderful, comfortable existence, to be comfortable, to live in the comfort zone. Yes, there is a comfort zone, but it's not external. Deep within, when you are aware, when you are present, you have access to the transcendent dimension of consciousness, which is the transcendent dimension not of your consciousness, but the transcendent dimension even of the universe. You have access that within yourself. And there you have in that transcendent dimension, one could say, you are in a comfort zone, but that is one that is beyond the polarities of good and bad. In other words, you can be at peace even when the external situation is turbulent and very challenging. The challenges forced you to go deeper because somehow you know that if you don't go deeper, it's going to be you're going to be really unhappy. If you don't go deeper, you're going to suffer more and more. And nothing external will ever free you from that. And that's the evolutionary process of the planet and the universe as a whole, is that the light of consciousness comes more fully into this dimension. It's the emanation from source, and it emanates into this. So the universe is engaged in a process of awakening or becoming more conscious. And every life form is gradually becoming more conscious. There is something that is operative in the unseen. What we see is only the surface reality. There is a vast intelligence operating underneath the world of phenomena. This vast intelligence is consciousness, the universal consciousness. And that's the ultimate reality. And this universal consciousness is, the universe is in the process of manifesting more and more consciousness. So it's still being created. It's not finished. God is still creating this world. And you are an essential part of this creative process. You are not separate from the awakening. You are an expression of the awakening universe. So God is bringing more consciousness, emanating this consciousness into this dimension. In our case here, it's through you. Of course, other life forms too. But it's the human here is very, very important. There's been conscious evolution for millions and millions of years. Sorry, there's been evolution of consciousness for millions and millions of years. But now for the first time here on our planet, well, maybe for the first time, we don't know that much about human history, only a few thousand years. On this planet, there's not just the evolution of consciousness, there is also conscious evolution of consciousness. And that happens through the human. And our talking here, being here together, is an expression of that conscious evolution of the universe. Suddenly, the evolution is not just the evolution of consciousness that's been going on for millions of years, but we've reached a stage where suddenly the evolution of consciousness becomes conscious evolution of consciousness. So we are the universe through you, through me. The universe is realizing its own journey, its own purpose, its own essence. Ultimately, the universe is becoming more. This is a transitional stage that we are at right now. This is why it's so difficult, because any transitional stage is difficult from one mode of being to another mode of being. And this new mode of being is conscious participation in the creative process of the universe through the human form, conscious participation in creation. And that happens when you face a situation, an external situation, and bring conscious presence to it rather than reactivity. You bring conscious presence. You are no longer at the mercy of externals. The external has the purpose of driving you to the deeper place of presence, that alert presence. Because if you don't go there, you suffer a lot and things get worse. And then you meet a situation consciously And then it's no longer the same situation. The way, what happens after that, the external world and your consciousness are a single phenomenon. So what happens in the external world depends on your state of, what happens, let's say the next thing that's going to happen, to a large extent depends on your state of consciousness at this moment. And how a situation evolves that might be perceived as a difficult situation, how it evolves from now on depends on the state of consciousness with which you meet or face that situation and deal with that situation. And then you will find suddenly it changes. So what we need is more people awakening to who they are, the light of the world, and then we will find that reality changes as a reflection of the collective consciousness. And I won't make any predictions, except right now it seems fairly certain that we are moving into a time period of turbulence on a collective level. And that's a good thing. It's meant to happen. It's here to awaken us, although it could also make us more unconscious. And it's quite possible that it will awaken a certain segment of the population. It will make another segment of the population unconscious. That is not an impossible scenario. And this other segment of the population just needs more time. That's fine. They just need more time. And my job and your job is to help humans become more conscious so that they can take right action. And you, if action is necessary or possible. And you, it's your primary responsibility is to yourself first, and then you will affect others around you, directly and indirectly, even on others you may never be in contact with. And I don't mean necessarily through technology by sending out messages, but all humans are connected underneath the surface of things. There's one human consciousness. So any change in your consciousness is a change in human consciousness. So we do not need to fear what's happening, but just to realize that it actually is as it should be, if seen from a larger, from a higher perspective of human evolution. The present moment is as it is, and it could not be otherwise. And this situation is what humans need for their further evolution. So this is the message. One could go on talking about this, but the essence of it is this realization that welcome whatever life brings to you in the moment, even if it is difficult. Don't complain, because if the moment you complain about what is, you are in an antagonistic relationship with life. And if you're in an antagonistic relationship with life, you will experience life as antagonistic. Life reflects back to you, ultimately, your state of consciousness. That is not an easy lesson to learn for some people, and some people are even angry when they hear that, but that's fine. I wish you well in your journey towards further awakening of consciousness and the realizing it's a journey without distance, and it's ultimately a journey into yourself, and the realization that who you are in your essence is consciousness, is the light of the world.